All right, so basically, like this is the end of the life group for leadership, discipline, and motivation. So we're just gonna go through, I guess, the 12 weeks of not every week because some of them, will double up, but kind of go through each one and just talk about what we think has it changed, how we see things, and any ways that we are able to apply that information or these tools, like in our work, in our personal life, anything like that. So I've had fun. I
Yeah.
hope you've had fun. And if there's anything
Good
you
one.
don't like or want to change it, I want to address that at the kind of as we go as well, and come up with topics for doing it again. And so, week one we talked about building relationships. So, what did we say about building relationships? Why was that the first one?
Because leadership is is building relationships
That's
all the way around, right? So yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Building relationships is the most important part
right.
of leadership. And so, obviously, we knew each other before the group,
Right, right.
right? And so, have you been able to do? Have you been able? Well, I guess the ministry you did last weekend, and some other things. Have you been able to build relationships in the last 2 months?
Oh yeah, certainly. Like getting ready for Kairos and
Yeah,
getting coming in, not knowing none of these guys. I mean, not a huge thing to go in and try to know these men.
yeah,
But once you start going in and there's an acceptance of, hey, you're another brother in this.
yeah,
You start building those relationships. You start asking questions, and you start getting the answers that you need,
yeah,
uh, and then dealing with these inmates. Just being very delicate to what their stories are, and being there not to judge them,
yeah,
but to serve them, to understand them, but mostly point them in the right direction with Jesus Christ. So.
yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you want to? I don't know if you want to tell. Do you want to tell a story about the two burritos? About because it's building
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah. So
Like,
there was an inmate named Omar, and he didn't really respond to the first day where we sat around the table. With the table was called a family. There was six inmates and three leaders at each table. So it was two inmates, one leader, so on and so forth. And Omar was not eating whatsoever, and he happened to be sick, and so he was very unresponsive for the first couple hours, and then we went to lunch. Um, he broke out, didn't know he was going to start crying. Really, just was looking for some answers to some deep-rooted questions that have kind of bothered him
yeah,
for a long time, and off that emotional response, I was able to I don't want to say answer all his questions, but just kind of point him in the right direction, help him to see that nothing is a loss, that God uses everything for his good,
yeah, yeah,
and that he's loved because there's people here that want to help him and want to push him in the right direction, if allowed, right? And so,
yeah.
and then so off that, he kind of clung to me, which was very unnatural for me because I
Yeah.
didn't think somebody, to give you a
That's
background
pretty
on Omar,
quick. I
yeah,
mean,
to
that's
give you a background on Omar, he was in a gang, all tatted up, right, on his face, his arms, and so he definitely didn't look like somebody who would be receptive, but also, obviously, when you judge somebody by the outward appearance,
yeah,
you're never looking at the heart, so,
yeah, yeah,
um, so there was, I guess, I don't want to say there was some reservation of thinking that he would be receptive because I know sometimes we just kind of get into that mode thinking that people
yeah,
won't respond because we look at him a certain way. But anyways, he kind of started opening up. He clung to me in a way that was just like he made a new buddy, and he was want to learn. And so the next day we had to go out and pass out cookies to all the inmates that weren't participating in the program. And so we went out and passed out cookies, and he was really worried about me not being able to eat.
yeah,
And I said, "Don't worry about it because I'll get another opportunity to eat." And so as soon as we came back, he came right next to me, very excited, sat down, and said, "Hey, John, let you know I prayed for you, that nothing would harm, no one would harm you while you were out there,
Yeah.
and I prayed that if you didn't get to eat, that you'd get to eat something when you get back. But just in case, I got you a burrito. And these guys, they don't eat very good. So when they come to this Kairos is known for the food.
Yeah.
Mostly the cookies, but they're known for the food, right? They're
Yeah.
going to get good food. And for them, even to hoard something and give it to me, was amazing. And not only did he give me a burrito, but the guy, Caesar, next to me gave me a burrito. So
that's cool.
I had a sense of honor, right?
Yeah.
I was very honored by that, but more deeply touched that God was doing the work on these men. And so, I mean, I'm just a vessel. And so God is using me to connect with these guys. And yeah, again, I was very honored and moved by someone wanting to do something for me. They didn't know me, but I mean, I guess we can do that as Christians, but more so that he already had enough hurts and troubles on his plate.
Yeah.
And for him to lay that to the side to say, this is my brother, I want to make sure that he's okay.
Yeah. I think that's cool. One of the things you said, looking at the heart, kind of made me think of some things at work. There's always people that are kind of more difficult, right, to build relationships with. There's people, like, it's pretty easy to build a relationship with you, right? So, but, you know, you got people at work, it's difficult. And I remember this one guy just kept at it, and I was like, man, you know what? And I was thinking about it, and I was talking with somebody else, and I was like, I'm going to try to look at him like how Jesus sees him. Like, Jesus, tell me how you see him. And then through the stuff that we learned in Chasm, you know, like the imposter and all that, I'm kind of like, I was able to see, like, this is why this guy acts this way. So, and knowing that and trying to see him how Jesus sees him kind of opened it up. Like, he's still kind of, but like, we have a better working relationship.
Yeah.
And that kind of opens up, and it's been kind of neat. But I really like what you said, looking at the heart. That reminded me of that. I think that's the key of it. You can't really build a relationship if you're trying to build a relationship. You really got to care about somebody, and to really care about somebody, you got to be selfless and try to see who they are, not what they are. I think that's really good. Any other points that you want to talk about on building relationships?
Just looking at it in this perspective has helped me with my work relationship.
Cool.
I mean, there's still a lot of work that has to happen there.
Yeah.
Not that we're on bad terms or anything like that, but it's just that, particularly in one of my coworkers that I'm pretty close to.
Yeah.
So I treat him like a brother, and we play around like a brother, but sometimes not knowing how to cut it off.
Yeah,
and
like a brother.
And so, but just be sensitive to what his needs are. Sometimes I do have an expectation because as a supervisor, you have to have some kind of expectation. Yeah. And I think I just lean on that expectation too much. More so, not because there's a requirement that has to be met, but more so that I work a certain way, so I expect somebody else to work that certain way, right? Yeah. And what I learned in Chasm is that we all have different personalities, so we got to look at their strengths and their weaknesses and learn how to manage those together, because our personality doesn't change, but the way we think does. So just learning how to deal with those.
That's good.
Still learning.
That one's really good.